I opened my front door in Tampa, Florida, my hand still shaking from the final box I carried out to the curb. The cardboard had been heavier than I expected, filled with textbooks and notebooks my son didn't want anymore. Things that used to matter and now don't. The humid air hits my face immediately, thick and warm and suffocating, wrapping around me like a wet towel that refuses to let go. The door swings wider than I expect, pulled by the breeze that smells faintly of rain and cut grass and something metallic like pennies left in the sun. I step forward, my bare foot nudging something soft and unexpected on the welcome mat. I look down. A muddy dog lifts his head slowly, staring at me like he's been waiting just for this moment. Like he knew exactly when I would open this door. His coat is matted and tangled, damp from the light drizzle that's been falling all morning across the Tampa suburbs, soaking into everything. His ribs press faintly against his skin, visible even under the mud caked along his chest and legs and belly. His body's completely still, but his eyes are alert, focused entirely on me with an intensity that makes my breath catch in my throat. I freeze in the doorway, my breath caught somewhere between my lungs and my mouth, my fingers still gripping the edge of the door so tightly my knuckles ache. I don't know if I should step forward or step back. I don't know if he's dangerous or desperate or simply lost and looking for help. The dog doesn't move. He just watches me, his gaze steady and unblinking, as if he recognizes me from somewhere, as if he knows something about me that I don't even know about myself. The moment stretches between us, silent and strange and suspended in time. The rain taps softly on the sidewalk behind him, a gentle rhythm against the concrete. A car passes somewhere down the street, its tires hissing on wet asphalt, the sound fading slowly into the distance. But here, on my small porch with its cracked paint and forgotten plants, everything feels suspended. My hand tightens on the doorknob, my knuckles going white. The dog shifts his weight carefully, his legs trembling slightly as he stands up slowly, his body swaying just barely. He doesn't break eye contact for even a second. He takes one deliberate, careful step toward me. Before I tell you what happened next, please subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments if you've ever felt alone in your own home. That first step he took toward me was the moment everything shifted. But to understand why it mattered so much, why it felt like the ground was moving under my feet, I need to tell you who I am. My name is Emily Harper, and I've lived in Tampa, Florida, my entire adult life. I moved here right after college. 23 years old with a nursing degree I never used, and no clear plan beyond finding work and figuring things out as I went. I've worked as a medical billing specialist for nearly 20 years now, sitting in a small cubicle under fluorescent lights, processing insurance claims and checking codes. It's the kind of steady job that pays the bills and offers decent insurance, but never quite feels like a calling. Never feels like something I chose so much as something I fell into. I raised 2 kids in a small 3-bedroom house in a quiet suburban neighborhood where the lawns are green year-round and the driveways are cracked. From decades of Florida heat expanding and contracting the concrete. I built a stable life here, the kind of life that looks fine from the outside, the kind where everything runs on schedule and nothing feels particularly wrong until one day, suddenly, everything does. My youngest child left for college 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks that feel like 3 months, like 3 years. My daughter had already moved out 2 years before that, off to Atlanta for grad school, and I'd adjusted to that. It felt natural, expected, the normal progression of life. But my son leaving felt different. It felt like the floor dropped out from under me without warning, without giving me time to brace myself. I drove him to the airport on a Tuesday morning in late August, the air conditioning in my car barely keeping up with the oppressive Florida heat. We didn't talk much during the drive. He scrolled through his phone. I focused on the traffic. We hugged in the departures lane, a quick squeeze that felt too short and too long at the same time. Awkward in the way these moments always are. He waved once before disappearing through the sliding glass doors, his backpack slung over one shoulder, his whole future ahead of him. And then I drove home to a house that no longer needed me. The silence started immediately. Not just quiet, but silence. The kind that presses against your eardrums and makes you aware of every small sound your body makes, every breath and heartbeat. I walked through the front door and stood in the entryway for what felt like hours, just listening to nothing. No footsteps upstairs. No music leaking from behind closed bedroom doors. No voices calling from the kitchen asking what's for dinner or where their shoes are or if I can drive them somewhere. Just the hum of the refrigerator. That constant low buzz I'd learned to tune out years ago. Just the occasional click of the air conditioner kicking on and off. I set my keys on the counter and didn't know what to do next. I stood there in my own kitchen in the house I'd lived in for 15 years and felt completely lost. The weeks that followed blurred together into a strange, disconnected fog. I woke up too early every morning, my body still programmed to make breakfast for people who weren't there anymore. I wandered from room to room, starting tasks I couldn't finish, opening drawers and closing them again. I opened the linen closet and stared at the towels, wondering when I'd last organized them, wondering if it even mattered. I pulled weeds from the garden and left them in a pile by the fence. I made coffee every morning and forgot to drink it until it went cold and bitter. The house that once felt too small, bursting with noise and chaos and life and energy, now felt cavernous. Every corner echoed. Every surface gathered dust I didn't have the energy to wipe away. The walls seemed to expand, the rooms growing larger and emptier with each passing day. I kept asking myself the same question, over and over, usually late at night, when sleep wouldn't come, and I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Who am I now? For 18 years, I was a mother first. Everything I did revolved around them, their schedules, their needs, their lives, their problems, their homework, their friends, their successes and failures. And now, with them gone, with the house empty and silent, I didn't know what was left of me. I felt invisible, unnecessary, like I was drifting through my own life without a purpose, without a destination, without a compass to guide me. The evenings were the worst. I'd sit on the couch with the television on, not actually watching anything, just staring at the light it cast across the walls and letting the voices wash over me without meaning, without connection. The house felt like a shell, and so did I. On the morning everything felt particularly empty, unbearably empty. I decided to take out one last box. My son's old textbooks, things he didn't want to bring with him to school, things that would just gather dust in his old room. I carried it to the curb, my hands shaking more than they should have been for such a simple task. And when I turned back toward the house, wiping sweat from my forehead, that's when I saw him. The dog, sitting on my welcome mat like he'd been waiting for me all along. The dog sits curled on my welcome mat, his body small and tucked in on itself, like he's trying to take up as little space as possible, like he's apologizing for existing. His fur is clumped together in uneven patches, dark brown and gray with rain and dirt and who knows what else. Tampa's sky hangs low above us. Heavy gray clouds pressing down against the neighborhood roofs, threatening more rain at any moment. The air smells like wet pavement and earth and something faintly sweet from the jasmine growing wild along my back fence. I stand at the edge of my porch, still holding the empty feeling of that box I just set down at the curb, and I stare at him. He stares back with eyes that seem too intelligent, too aware. His legs tremble slightly, even though he's sitting completely still, his body tense with exhaustion or fear, or both. His chest is caked with dried mud that's starting to crack and flake off, and I can see the outline of his ribs beneath the matted fur, each one clearly visible when he breathes in and out. But his eyes are what stop me cold, what freeze me in place. They're tired, deeply tired, the kind of tired that comes from days or weeks of struggle, but they're also alert, watching me with an intensity that feels almost human, like there's real intelligence and intention behind them, like he's asking me something without words, something important, like he's been waiting specifically for me to open that door, and no one else would do. No one else could help him the way he needs. I take a slow step forward, the wooden boards of my porch creaking loudly under my weight in the silence. My voice comes out softer than I expect, almost a whisper, barely audible. "Hey," I say, the word hanging in the humid air between us like a question. "Where did you come from?" He doesn't flinch, doesn't run, doesn't even shift his weight or look away. He just watches me, his head tilted slightly to one side, one ear perked up and alert while the other folds down against his skull. I crouch slowly, my knees cracking with the movement, protesting the position, and I reach out my hand slowly, palm down, fingers extended but not threatening. He leans forward just barely, just an inch, his black nose twitching as he sniffs the air between us, trying to read me, trying to understand if I'm safe. I can feel my heartbeat in my throat, a steady thump that seems too loud, too fast. I don't know if he's lost, if someone is looking for him right now, frantically calling his name a few streets over, posting photos on social media. I don't know if he's been abandoned, left behind when someone moved away or decided they couldn't care for him anymore, couldn't handle the responsibility. I don't know if he's hurt, if there's something wrong beneath the mud and matted fur that I can't see yet. But something about the way he looks at me makes my chest tighten in a way I don't fully understand, not with fear, with recognition. Like I'm seeing something I didn't know I was looking for, something that's been missing from my life without my even realizing it was gone. He shifts his weight carefully, deliberately, his muddy paws pressing into the wet welcome mat and leaving darker prints. And he takes another hesitant step closer to me. His body language is careful, almost apologetic, as if he's asking permission to exist near me, to enter my space, to be seen by me. I stay crouched, my hand still extended between us, feeling the dampness from the porch seeping through my jeans and into my knees. I feel something crack open inside me, something deep in my chest, something that's been sealed shut and locked tight for weeks, maybe even longer than that, maybe since before my son even left. I reach out slowly and touch the top of his head, my fingers brushing against the damp, matted fur. It's coarser than I expected, thick with dirt and rain and neglect. He closes his eyes for just a moment, a brief second of vulnerability, and leans into my hand with a pressure that feels like relief, like gratitude, like trust. The rain starts up again, a soft patter against the roof overhang that shelters both of us from the worst of it. I stand slowly, my knees protesting loudly, and I glance down the street to see if anyone is looking for him, if anyone is calling his name. The neighborhood is completely empty, just wet driveways and closed garage doors and cars sitting silent in the heat. No one calling, no one searching, no one caring. I look back down at the dog and he's still watching me, still waiting with that same patient, hopeful intensity. I whisper again, quieter this time, my voice barely carrying, "Where did you come from?" But deep down, beneath the rational questions and the practical concerns about ownership and responsibility, I already feel he came for a reason. I don't know what that reason is yet. Can't name it or explain it, but I feel it settling into my chest. Quiet and undeniable and real. I step back toward the door, and he follows without any hesitation. Not rushing, not jumping, not demanding anything. Just walking beside me like he's always been there, like this has always been his home, like we've known each other for years. I hold the door open wider, my hand on the frame, and for the first time in weeks, I don't feel the heavy silence waiting for me inside. I bring out a bowl of water in a chipped blue ceramic dish I haven't used in years, something I bought at a yard sale when the kids were small and never found a use for. I expect him to drink quickly and then run off into the neighborhood, disappearing as suddenly as he appeared, vanishing into whatever life brought him here. But he stays. He drinks slowly, carefully, his tongue lapping at the water in measured movements, like he's pacing himself, like he knows he needs to make it last, like he's not sure when the next bowl might come. I sit on the concrete step beside him, my back pressed against the doorframe, ignoring the dampness seeping through my clothes. And I watch him. My chest feels less tight. Not by much, not dramatically, but enough to notice. Enough to make me take a full, deep breath for the first time that morning, filling my lungs completely instead of just halfway, instead of the shallow breathing I've been doing for weeks. He finishes drinking and sits down beside me without being asked, his body still trembling slightly from the cold or exhaustion or fear or all three at once. We stay like that for a while, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 30. I lose track. Not moving, not speaking, just existing in the same space together, sharing the same air. And it feels like the first real thing that's happened to me in weeks. The first moment that doesn't feel hollow. Over the next few days, the dog returns every single morning and every single evening. Like clockwork, like he has an internal timer set specifically for me. I don't know where he goes in between visits, what streets he walks, or where he sleeps, or if he has other people feeding him, other porches he visits. But he's always there when I open the door, sitting in that same exact spot on the welcome mat, waiting patiently, like he has all the time in the world, like there's nowhere else he'd rather be. I start talking to him casually, naturally, the way I used to talk to my kids when they were doing homework at the kitchen table or watching TV on the couch. That constant stream of commentary that used to fill the house. I tell him about the weather, about how the humidity is worse than usual this year, how it makes my hair frizz and my clothes stick to my skin. I tell him about the errands I need to run, the groceries I need to buy, the bills I need to pay, the small administrative tasks that make up my days. I tell him about the things I haven't said out loud in weeks. The small observations and thoughts that used to have an audience and now just echo uselessly in my head. He listens, his head tilted slightly to one side, his dark eyes focused on me like every word matters, like I'm saying something profound and important instead of just filling the silence with noise. My days begin to have a rhythm again, a structure that's been missing since my son left. I wake up wondering if he'll show up this morning. I listen for the soft sound of his paws on the porch, the gentle scratch of his nails against the wood, the quiet breathing. I find myself looking forward to something, anticipating something beyond just getting through another day, beyond just surviving until bedtime. One quiet Thursday morning, I find him waiting at the door before I even open it, before I've had my coffee or brushed my teeth. I see his shadow through the frosted glass panel in the door, sitting perfectly still like a statue. He's sitting in the exact same spot he always sits, his tail sweeping slowly across the mat in a gentle, hypnotic rhythm. I smile. It's a small smile, barely there, just the corners of my mouth lifting slightly. But it's real. It's genuine. It's the first smile I've felt on my face in longer than I want to admit. I give him a temporary name, Rusty. It fits him perfectly, suits him in a way I can't quite explain. The rust-colored patches scattered across his coat, visible now that some of the mud has dried and flaked off in chunks. The way he seems weathered and worn down by life, but still standing, still showing up every day, still trying. I buy dog food at the grocery store on Saturday afternoon, a small bag of the cheap stuff. Telling the cashier it's for a friend's dog when she comments on it. Telling myself it's just in case, just temporary, just until I figure out what to do with him. But I know I'm lying to myself. I know he's already becoming part of my routine, woven into the fabric of my daily life in ways I didn't plan and can't undo, even if I wanted to. I notice how I wake up with purpose now, how the mornings feel fundamentally different than they did just a week ago. The first thing I do, even before I make coffee or check my phone or use the bathroom, is check the porch. The emptiness that used to greet me every morning, that heavy, suffocating silence that felt like drowning, is replaced by anticipation. Will he be there? What will we do today? Will he let me touch him more? Trust me a little deeper? Let me get a little closer? I start taking evening walks with him, something I never did before my kids left, something that never even occurred to me as an option. We walk through the neighborhood as the Tampa sun sinks low on the horizon, painting everything in shades of deep orange and soft pink and purple that look almost artificial. The heat breaks just enough to make it bearable, the temperature dropping from unbearable to merely uncomfortable. I talk the entire time, and he listens, trotting beside me with his tail relaxed and swinging gently. I tell him things I wouldn't tell anyone else, things I barely want to admit to myself, secrets I've been keeping locked away, how scared I am of being alone for the rest of my life, of never mattering to anyone again, how I don't know who I'm supposed to be now that I'm not actively mothering anyone, now that no one needs me to pack lunches or sign permission slips or stay up late helping with homework. How the silence in my house used to feel like it was crushing me, pressing down on my chest until I couldn't breathe properly, couldn't get enough air. He never responds. Of course, can't respond. But somehow, that's exactly what I need. He just walks beside me, his pace matching mine perfectly, adjusting automatically when I slow down or speed up, staying right there by my left leg. His presence is solid and real and uncomplicated in a way human relationships never are. And slowly, almost without my noticing it happening, I start smiling more throughout the day, catching myself grinning at nothing in particular. I pick up hobbies I abandoned years ago when the kids were small and demanded all my attention and energy. I watered the plants on the back porch that I'd let die slowly over the summer, their leaves brown and crispy. I opened the windows in the afternoon and let the breeze move through the house, carrying away some of the staleness, some of the stagnant air. I reconnect with small joys I'd forgotten existed, simple pleasures that got buried under years of responsibility and routine. A good cup of coffee in the morning, sipped slowly instead of gulped down while rushing. The way the light hits the kitchen table at noon, creating patterns on the wood grain. The sound of rain on the roof at night, no longer lonely but peaceful, almost meditative. The house feels different now. Not full the way it used to be, not bursting with noise and chaos and the constant demands of teenagers, but alive. There's breathing in it. Again, a heartbeat that isn't just mine, a presence that fills the space. Movement that has meaning and purpose. A reason to come home at the end of the day instead of dreading the emptiness, instead of taking the long way home to delay the inevitable. Rusty curls up on the rug by the couch in the evenings, and I find myself sitting on the floor beside him instead of on the couch. My hand resting on his back, feeling the steady rise and fall of his breath beneath my palm. It's grounding. It's real. It's enough. But then one Wednesday night in early September, Rusty doesn't show up. I wait on the porch as the sun sets, my arms wrapped around myself against the cooling air that comes with dusk, that brief period when Florida becomes almost pleasant. I call his name softly at first, then louder, then almost shouting, scanning the street in both directions, looking for any sign of movement. Nothing. Just the usual sounds of the neighborhood settling in for the night, sprinklers turning on, garage doors closing, the distant sound of a television through someone's open window. The minutes stretch into an hour. My chest tightens again, that familiar ache creeping back in like it never left, like it was just waiting patiently for an opportunity to return and reclaim its territory. And I realized, standing there in the fading light with the mosquitoes starting to buzz around me, how deeply I need him now. How much he's become the reason I get up in the morning, the thing that pulls me out of bed. How terrified I am of losing him, of losing the small piece of purpose I've found, of going back to that emptiness. I grab a flashlight from the kitchen drawer and start searching the street, calling his name louder. Now my voice cracking with an emotion I don't want to name, don't want to acknowledge. I check the neighbors' yards, peering over fences and into dark corners. I check the empty lot at the end of the block, where kids sometimes play baseball. I check the small park 2 streets over with the broken swings that squeak in the wind. The rain starts again, heavier this time, cold and insistent, soaking through my shirt and jeans within minutes. I don't care. I keep looking, keep calling his name, keep searching every shadow and corner. My heart pounds in my chest like a drum, fast and irregular, and I recognize this fear intimately. It's the same fear I felt when my son left, when I watched him disappear through those airport doors and realized a chapter of my life was closing forever. The fear of losing what makes me feel needed. The fear of being alone again, truly alone with nothing and no one to anchor me, to give my days meaning. I find Rusty curled under a neighbor's broken porch 3 houses down, trembling violently from the rain and cold, his whole body shaking like a leaf. His eyes find mine in the beam of the flashlight. and I feel something break open inside me, something that's been holding itself together by sheer force of will for weeks. I drop to my knees in the wet grass, the rain soaking through my jeans instantly, cold water seeping into my skin, and I wrap my arms around him carefully, gently. He's shaking so hard I can feel it in my own body. I'm shaking too. And for the first time in weeks, maybe months, I let myself cry. Not quiet tears that I can wipe away quickly and pretend never happened. Real, full sobs that shake my whole body and come from somewhere deep in my chest, somewhere I've been keeping locked up. I press my face into his wet fur and whisper through my tears, my voice breaking, "You're not alone." And I'm not either. The words feel true in a way nothing else has felt true in a long time. They feel like a promise, like a commitment, like the beginning of something. I carry him home in my arms, both of us trembling but safe, both of us soaked through, but together. I dry him off with towels, my hands gentle and careful, checking him for injuries and finding nothing serious. I make him a bed on the couch with an old blanket that used to be my son's, and he curls into it immediately, his eyes closing slowly like he's finally allowing himself to rest, to let his guard down. I sit beside him, my hand resting on his side, feeling his heartbeat gradually slow to normal, and I feel something unfreeze inside me. Something that's been locked away and frozen solid since the day I drove my son to the airport and came home to silence and emptiness. A few weeks later, Rusty lives with me full time. It's official now, no longer temporary or conditional. Morning light enters the kitchen while I prepare his food, measuring out the portions carefully, and the routine feels natural now. Like it's always been this way, like I can't remember a time when it was different. The house feels lived in again. There are soft footsteps on the floor at all hours. Breathing that isn't just mine. Warmth that fills the corners. I walk Rusty along the Tampa waterfront on Saturday mornings, a new ritual we've developed together. The gentle waves reflect sunlight across the water in dancing patterns that mesmerize me. He trots beside me, his tail relaxed and swinging in a steady rhythm, his body healthy and strong now, his coat clean and shining in the morning light. I look down at him and realize something profound. I found myself again through caring for him. Not the person I was before, not the mother I used to be, but someone new. Someone who knows how to be alone without being lonely. Someone who knows that healing doesn't come all at once in a dramatic moment, but in small, quiet moments that accumulate over time. In the soft press of a dog's head against your hand. In the rhythm of morning routines. In the choice to keep going, to keep trying, even when you don't know where you're going or what comes next. We walk along the waterfront, the breeze carrying the scent of salt and distance and possibility, and I feel whole again. Not because everything is fixed, not because the emptiness is completely gone, not because I have all the answers now, but because I'm no longer drowning in it, no longer paralyzed by it. Rusty looks up at me, his eyes calm and trusting and full of something that looks like love, and I smile, a real smile. The kind that reaches all the way inside and changes something fundamental about who you are. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and tell me in the comments if a dog has ever found you when you needed it most. I thought I was saving him, but he saved me.